Welcome back to the tutorial videos for the Spencer specs. This section will be going over the handicapping button area, so this area on the menus. There's basically three buttons within this area we'll talk about on this video. First one is really the show relevant tab. So you've gotten all your things ran, you've got your BrizNet data file loaded, the carryover data loaded, you've added your track bias multiplier, you've ran the pedigree information for the first and second time starters and the stake sources. And maybe you've even utilized the Twitter crawl to go run the tweets to see if anybody's saying anything, what kind of buzz is out there in Twitter land about any of the horses on today's card. Now you need to go do your handicapping. So you click on Show Relevant Tabs. In here, it's going to give you the cover sheet. So this is kind of a summary of your selections. And right now, since we haven't made selections, it's all the specs proposed A's, B's, and C's. Now after a user's gone in and modified this, down here below will be a user's A, B, and C grid. That being said, you'll see your A's, B's, and C's. You'll see some of the critical data points that you will learn to use in your handicapping, and want to look at these to ensure if you're under the gun to make a decision on one horse to invest in. You can look at this and determine why, or maybe how confident you are in that horse. The next tab is this morning line fair odds tab. So you've got program numbers listed in ranking order by the algorithm. You've got your A's, B's, and C's groupings, the proposed A's, B's, and C's listed. You have the name of the horse, the jockey, whether or not there's a significant weight change of more than 3 pounds one way or the other, who the trainer is, and what the jockey-trainer combination, what their win percent has been, unless it's a change in trainer. Somebody else trained it last time. You'll see over here, Ron Moquette changed Civil last time. There's just not enough space for me to tell you what Declan Cannon and Glover's win percent is, as well as give you who the prior trainer was. So you get the prior trainer in parentheses. Then it lists your morning line and adjusted morning line odds. We'll talk about why they're adjusted morning line in one of the other videos. What the fair odds are. Now if there's more than 25%, it tells you up here, if there's more than 25% of the field first time starters, we don't give you fair odds because it's just not fair. These horses may actually be favorites, and you're going to think you're getting a discount on some of the other horses when maybe you're not. And then it gives you the symbols. What does these horses got going for them, or in some cases going against them? And you'll learn what these symbols mean. There will be a legend that prints off at the bottom of each page that will help you decipher the legends. There's also, we'll talk about a page here in a minute that's been uncovered here. That will give you a full page legend and with explanations. You also get your user notes. So as you go through your handicapping on each race, you can put your user notes in, and they'll show up here. So maybe it's what plays do you want to make, what exactas and trifectas, superfectas do you want to make on this race. Maybe it's come back to this race after scratches because you're unsure what the pace scenario is going to be if all the also eligibles are scratched. Whatever you think you need to capture so that you get reminded to go back. If there is a note that you make, it will be listed here, and on the cover page it will be in yellow. This field here, for whichever race you have a user note on, will be in yellow to hopefully give you a reminder that you have a user note on that race. Here's your trip notes. Well, I do have a trip note on 3 horses, the 1A and the 8 in the 10th race and the 11 in the 5th race. They're all 3 on their last starts because they're all 3 second time starters. And I watched the videos specifically so we would have them as examples for this race. These other 4 are the other horses that I have trip notes on that are not racing on today's card. Now I don't have it filtered out now because you might want to change something. You might want to add some below. You may go and watch some of the races after you've ran the card or some of the replays and want to add a note or two. And you'll do that here. This one's really the one sheet per page. You'll see this. Yes, we've got trip notes. There are trip notes. This big red highlighted everywhere is telling you there is at least one trip note to go look at. So if you have a trip note, you're going to have plenty of bells and whistles telling you there's a trip note. These are the horses ranking. So the main point system algorithm has a 2-horse ranked number 1. The 5 and 6 are both first time starters, so they're not ranked in the algorithm. Here's the dam information that we had pulled in the first time starter, second time starter, breedmare sibling data poll, the pedigree effort. And here's the top sibling for that first time starter. If there was a second time starter, you would also get to see what the top sibling was. And you'll get to see what the dam earned as well. But you don't get it, so this shows up for second time starters as well. And then here's the first and second time starter tab, the stakes tab. So we've already looked at these as we created them and use pedigree query to get data in here. Here's your tweet tab. Here's the proposed specs ABC ticket structures. So you got your pick 6, your pick 5s. You also have a pick 4, and we'll talk about what each one of these different columns means, because here's your pick 4s. There's 3 different options on which ones you may want to play. There's actually 4 because the caveman tickets are another option. And this is using the raw specs. If you wanted to play exactly what they proposed, it would cost you $504 to play this pick 5. If I want to do the ABC, it's going to cost me $324. You get this last 10 race rating trend. So this is a graph for every race, the last 10 Brisnet race ratings, so you can see who's spiking up, maybe who ran the best last race, who's consistently there, maybe they ran a poor last race. This 3-horse ran really decent and then came back and ran poorly. It's next out, didn't even really finish. In fact, I'm going to click on that. It's going to take me back to this 1 page per race, and here's the same graph. It's kind of smaller. It's not too hard to read there because there's not very many, but in this second race sometimes you get a little bit lost. So you click on it and it'll take me to a bigger version for me to go see. And then if there were any biases, horses that ran against the bias, it would be listed here. Here's my pick 3s, the tickets that the specs are proposing you play. The daily doubles are actually up here at the top. And then you have this full page legend. So this is the symbols, the definitions and legend for the symbols we talked about earlier. The name field in the 1 page per race and the morning line fair odds fields have symbols in them. These are what the symbols represent. This gives you a pretty thorough description of how they're calculated or what they mean. Once you get here, you can go back to the main 1 sheet per race, and this takes me to that symbol legend, so I can go back and forth if I'm confused. Again, the name field has that in it. When I'm done, I can go back to the main menu. So that's the relevant tabs. Now I want to check scratches. As I've done my handicapping, now it's morning of, I'm going to go and check scratches. So I have to go to my Equibase Changes tab. I'm going to click right here on this hyperlink that will open up the Equibase Scratches and Changes tab, the late changes. So it will contain jockey changes. In fact, right here it's got race cancellations, jockey changes, distance changes, course changes, temporal information, jockey changes. So this is Keeneland. I would want to click on Keeneland. And then to get it there, I'm going to click anywhere on the page, hit Control A, Control and A, push Control down, hold it down, push the A button. That selects all. Right click now my mouse, choose copy. I'm going to go back to the specs, go right here and paste values. Now it says it does not appear to be for the correct date. Well, that's because it's not. I'm running this on Wednesday. These scratches are for Wednesday's card and not Friday's card. So I'm going to, just for illustrative purposes so the functionality will work, I'm going to change this to the right date. That's going to go away, and now when I click on this button, these fields will be filled out, and it's going to take you back to the main menu. So I'm going to click on it, and then we'll come back and look at this again after it takes us back to the main menu. You'll notice over here on scratches it does now have horses listed, and you can see that here's the list of all of these scratches. There were no jockey changes, surface changes, or distance changes on that day for Thursday. I'm going to take out the bottom two just manually to show you something, because now I've got my data pasted in here. So as the day progresses, you could then just come back and paste over the top of the data you had in here. You have scratches at 9 o'clock in the morning, and now at noon there's another round of scratches, so you just copy and paste it over. It's going to be longer, bigger, and then you come over and you push refresh changes. Now what you're going to see is that 11 and 12 horse will be added back in as scratched horses. The reason why I wanted to show you that is because when it's done, we're going to look at the relevant tabs, and on the cover page you can see that this is in red. It's telling you here's what your scratches were the last time you ran the functionality, here's the scratches now the most recent time, and this race is different. So you can look and say, oh, I need to go back and look and see why the 11 and 12 were they in my selections in the 8th race. So that's it for the check scratches functionality. Now the print shop. This is where you can print to paper or PDF. I prefer PDF. They do print quite small if you're using paper. PDF you can enlarge, you can take it with you on your laptop, your phone, your tablet, whatever device, and you can save all of the paper from not having to print reams and reams. Now I have a typical package. The one I like to print, it's going to print you off in the order that I have. It's got the cover sheet, the morning line fair odds, blah blah blah, all the way down the path. Or you can choose to only pick one. Maybe it's, you know what, I don't really care so much. I just want to take my Renaissance Man, pick 4, 5, and 6, and my morning line fair odds. But you have to make sure you deselect the typical package if you're going to select one or two at a time. I'm going to take those off. I'm going to reselect the typical package, and when I click on print the selected sheets, I'm going to choose Primo PDF. I would suggest you also use Primo PDF. It's a pretty decent little tool. It creates a PDF. It prints to a PDF for you, and you can print later on and append to the back of the prior one. So if you want to use the Brisnet PP generator and print the PDF from there with Primo, you can print your specs and then print your historic traditional past performances to be on the back end. So I'm not saying you have to completely, toss out the normal past performance, the traditional past performance handicapping. I'm saying that this will supplement it and will supplement it well. So when you click on that, it's going to run through a routine where it actually pastes your A, B, and C selections on that one page per race, so that if there's scratches later, you don't have issues with it having a horse that's listed as a B and a C, because with that scratch it was proposed to be a C and now is a B. So I'm going to choose yes to print that tab off. It's going to ask me for a bunch of these tabs, and some of them you may choose not to. You look at this, and if there's no pick 3s that it suggests you play, it won't even ask you about the pick 3s or the doubles. But both of them, it did suggest that you had something to play. Now, do you want to print the full page legends? Well, maybe you're familiar enough with the symbols you don't need that printed off. But again, it's going to a PDF. It's not going to paper. So no harm, no foul if you print off more than maybe you need. It's not wasting any resources that way. So it's going to take a second to run through that functionality. You can see now that it's printing. I would recommend before you print that you save it, because I do have on occasion Excel will lock up sometimes when you're printing. So I would save it so that you don't have to redo anything that you had done, just as a warning. I can create my PDF. Now I created this already earlier before I had to stop recording, so I'm just going to override it. I could have chosen append right there and put it at the back of what I had printed off previously. Now let me I actually have a copy of one that I had done earlier today for Belmont's card on the 17th, and you can see that it prints off to a PDF, and it's really now easy to scroll down through here and look at the data that you want to look at and really concentrate on those areas, so you can go from race to race. Hopefully you found this informative, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.